Now we'll be going over the sequel to the last movie, where the woman completes her get back on the ops. It's called Merc Bob Chapter 2, and it's pretty lit. Just like last time, I've known about this movie for a minute, but never bothered watching it until now. So let's go over it. The movie starts out with some guy talking to the woman moaning on the floor, but you already got that from last time. So then the woman gives a recap while driving in a whip, talking about how she wants to get her old boss. Then she tells the story about how the wedding place she was at got wet up, and it shows her with some guy about to get married, while a bunch of randos are there for some reason, laughing at the woman's slick comments. Then someone asks about music or something, and some guys try to set up what they're trying to do, and it turns out the woman has no family, so that's an L. Then she goes outside for some reason, and sees the guy blowing on a flute, which gets her in her feelings. It turns out to be the guy from the beginning of the movie, so we already know that they know each other, and I guess they really know each other, cause they talk to each other like they used to pipe or something, and he starts questioning her like the feds, about the guy she's about to marry, and what she's doing and stuff like that. She says she works in a music store, because it's a more acceptable life than going around the world, putting people on shirts, but the guy decides to stay for the wedding, so he can meet up with the woman's husband. And when they do, she tells the husband that the guy is her father, even though she just said like a couple minutes ago that she doesn't have any family, but whatever. It turns out they're doing dress rehearsals because they're broke boys who want to spend as little as possible on costs, and the husband tries to get the guy to give the woman away for the wedding, but the woman isn't having that, so that's done. Then when they're about to start, the woman and the guy have some words of encouragement, and she puts her lips on him and goes to do the ceremony, but then 4 guys pull up on the wedding to wet it up, leading to the events of the last movie. Following where we left off last time, the guy goes to meet up with some Confederates, and he tells them about the woman who was able to put so many in her blunt, and that she's coming for them, cause I guess the guy he's talking to was one of the 4 that wet up the block back then, so they decide that she has to get out of the way. Then the hitman walks into the bar, so he goes to the back to talk to some guy about how he's not trying to do his job, I guess, but the boss isn't trying to hear it, so he fills his schedule up like an indentured servant, then tells him to get with some woman to give him his next slave assignment, but for some reason, he gets in his feelings over the hitman's hat, so he has to take it off and vacate the room. After talking to some female, he goes back to his poverty crib, where the woman is chilling in the cut under it, waiting to put him on the news. When it looks like the coast is clear, she enters the crib, then gets blasted in the chest, because the hitman has a big stick. Then he goes to talk crazy to her, so she spits in his face, but he returns the L and sticks something in her ass to put her out of commission. So with that done, he calls up the eye patch op from earlier and tells her that he just told the woman, and offers to let the eye patch op cop her sword if she brings the funds. She says she agrees, as long as the woman has to go through the most, cause I guess she's still in her feelings over what happened with their coworkers or something. So later on, some short guy is disrespecting a woman's grave, and when he's done, he gets pulled up by the hitman, and he and the hitman start talking crazy about the woman, with the short guy particularly running his mouth as if he knows her or something. Like, why does this rando have so much to say? Like, did she violate him too or something? Anyway, they then try to pick her up to put her in the hole, but she tries to resist, so the hitman threatens to do her dirty with the mace, which makes her accept what's coming. They put her in a dry spot and leave her there, because I guess their wickedness knows no limits, so it shows her being down bad for a minute. Then it cuts to the guy from earlier playing his flute and telling a story about Asians from a grip ago. It turns out he's talking to the woman, and he tells her that the teacher he's about to send her to isn't about any of that nonsense, so if she acts up, she might get damaged. Then they go to his crib, and the guy tells her that the teacher's ready to receive her as a student, and reminds her not to do too much. Then when she meets him, he's already tweaking on her, and also tells her not to do too much. Then she tells him he can't speak his Asian language, but can speak another Asian language, which gets him in his feelings, cause I guess he's racist, so he challenges her to a fade, in which he slaps her around and makes her admit that she got hoed, but then tells her she's been accepted into his university anyway. After that, he tells her to punch through some wood, and then a training scene happens, which shows her doing the most for a minute. Then when she tries to eat with the chopsticks, it's not working out for her, but even that's a problem for him, so he throws her fruit out and gives her a new bowl, just to make her pick it up with the chopsticks and do what needs to be done. Back in the present, she's able to get her feet loose and cut her hands out of the rope, then uses her training to break out of the box and fuck off from under the ground, so you know, major W alerts. Then she goes to a diner looking like a problem and asks for water, so it shows the eye patch op driving through the deserts with the funds. Then the woman walks up in the crib and sees her up and starts getting flashbacks. So the eye patch is talking to the hitman, and he tells her that he got the woman put in the ground in someone else's spots and that she can have the sword since she brought the funds. And he asks her about how she's feeling after all the options she's done over the years, you know, because now they think the woman is out of the way, and asks her if she feels bad for what happened or chill that it's over. And at first she gives a lame non-answer, so the hitman presses her for more details, so she says she feels bad, which makes him satisfied, I guess. But then when the hitman tries to see his funds, he gets bitten by a snake, because I guess it turns out the eye patch is an off to him too, and she tells him that the snake is particularly worthless, and he doesn't have much time left in this dimension, and says she feels bad, because a hard fighter like the woman went out to a scrub like the hitman. Then when he becomes a pack, she calls up the guy, because I guess he and the hitman were brothers, and tells him that the woman put him in her blunt, but that she got the woman taken care of. But then the woman pulls up on her and runs a fade, but eventually they have a little talk, and it turns out that the hitman that's in the dirt now is capping about how he got his sword, because the woman has it now. So the woman asks the eye patch op why the Asian teacher made her get an eye patch, and she tells her it's because she was talking wilds to him. Then she tells her that she put him on her shirts, so they engage in one last jihad, but then the woman takes out her other eye, so now she's out of commission permanently. So the woman just leaves the eye patch op to tweak around on the floor, because I guess she feels like she's not a threat anymore. And also, letting her go out like this is even more disrespectful than turning her into a pack, and she leaves to find the guy. Then she talks about how the guy was understandably abandoned by his father, so he sought such figures and random men along the way, one of which may be able to tell the woman where the guy is now. And she goes to his old teacher, who's some mob boss who speaks Spanish. When she talks to him, he decides to only speak English, and tells an irrelevant story about the guy when he was younger, in some movie theater being a weirdo or something, whatever. Anyway, after enough time has been wasted, he offers to let her know where the guy is, because that's what the guy would have wanted. But when she gets there, it turns out the guy has her fetus, which makes the woman conflicted, and has his daughter put a hole in the woman, so she has to play along, pretend to be a pack. Then the guy talks to the fetus about how the woman was sleeping for a minute, and that's why she's been MIA for so long. And the guy tells a story about how the fetus did her fish dirty, and after that, he tells her that's kind of how he did the woman. So the woman and the fetus watch them played out movie together, and when that's done, the woman gets up to complete the get back on the guy, and he takes the woman's sword in preparation for the hands that are about to be thrown. But before that, the man says they should do it on the beach, but she's not trying to hear all that, so she tries to make a move, but then he lets off a shot, so she gets back in line. Then he tells her he wants to hear the truth from her, but he knows that she caps a lot, and also that he doesn't believe anything the woman is trying to say, so he lights her up with something that makes her tell the truth. Then he starts going on about comics or something, and how heroes are false claiming identities, and he tells her that even though she tries to give up a life of trust, she would always be someone that makes the world a worse place, so there was no need for her to settle and live a normal life. So he asked her if she thought she was actually gonna make it as a civilian, and she lets him know that she didn't, but just wanted to have her offspring be regular. And she says it's because she found out he was carrying an embryo. But while she was trying to do the dash, she was caught by one of the guy's workers, who said someone to put on the news. So she walks in and starts blasting, but then they have a standoff, and the woman tells her that she's carrying an embryo. So the op has to test for herself, and when it's confirmed, she just pisses off from the scene. So I guess that's done. So the woman explains that she's not trying to do the most anymore, now that she knows she's carrying a life, but she chose to do the dash and hide her from the guy. So the guy says that he thought she got put on her shirt by someone else, and he got in his feelings over it for a minute. But when he started looking for who did it, he found out the woman was still in this realm, and so that she was about to get married, so he went up the block. But the woman isn't feeling that, cause he was really doing too much with that. Then they catch a quick fade, but the woman hits the guy's chest a couple times, which I guess is enough to put him out of commission. So they start talking to each other again, and the woman low-key gets in her feelings, because she still cares about the guy for some reason. So he gets up to end up on the ground, and the woman takes the fetus to her whip, where they go to some other crib. While there, the fetus is watching cartoons, while the woman is moaning in a nearby room. When the movie ends, with the woman going to join the fetus on the bed, so they can continue to chill together. Overall, this movie was pretty cool. I mean, I wouldn't put it above the last one, cause even though this one had a longer runtime, I feel like more actually happened in the first movie, but still this is good. Though it didn't leave much of an impact on me like some of the other movies I've gone over this year. Like, niggas have been dick riding this movie for eons, just for me to finally see it, and be like, okay. I mean, maybe it's because I've already seen his other classics, like Paper Fantasy and the Guest Worker movie, so something like this doesn't stick out to me as much, but either way, it's still some heat. Let me know what other movies you want me to go over in the comments. And the moral of the story, sometimes you have to let the opps think they have one over you, cause that'll leave them unprepared for the get back later on. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video, and as always, thanks for watching.